Hello there everyone and welcome to your very first lesson here in IB History. Since this is our very first lesson, let me take just a few moments to explain to you the layout of our system here, of what you're looking at on the screen so that you'll become more familiar with this format, because this will be the same format that you will see throughout the entire school year, throughout every unit that we complete in this course. So let me go ahead and explain to you first of all what you're looking at. Every single slide that you will see from here on out will always have the lesson number. And of course, this is our 0 unit. So this is our introductory unit. And this is our 0 lesson number because it's just kind of like an intro lesson to just get you acclimated to what you're actually taking. And then you will always have the lesson title listed right here at the top. And so today's lesson's title is What is IB History? And of course, throughout the course, you will also see that the backgrounds are also color-coded, so you will always know exactly what lesson you're on. So if you open up the lesson and your friend's color is different, then you may know something is different with my lesson. And lastly, on this first slide and on every first slide of every lesson from here on out, you will always see your lesson objectives. And they're stated here beginning, by the end of this lesson, the student will be able to, and these are the objectives that by the end of this lesson, you should be able to do. You should be able to explain the 4 main components of the IB History course, explain Paper 1 and the rights and protests prescribed subject. You should be able to describe the first year of the IB History course as well as the second year of the IB History course. And lastly, you should be able to explain the difference between the SL and the HL options offered here at Y-High. Okay, so before teaching any content on this particular slide, let me continue explaining what you're looking at. Again, we are continuing to see our lesson and unit number up here, 0.0. You will always see that up in the upper left-hand corner. You also see the continued color theme. And you also notice the specific title up on this slide. If you notice, it is italicized. All of the slides from here on out are italicized, and what this is that these are subsets of the lesson title. So the lesson title was What is IB History? This is the first subset of that. We're going to talk about course specifics on this slide. That's why it's italicized, because it's a subtitle. And secondly, you'll notice that there are certain things in blue on this slide. If there is something in blue, it is very important and you must write that concept down or write some information about that concept. Okay? So anytime you see something in blue, it is very important that when you're taking your notes that you really address that concept in blue, either writing it down or following it somehow in your notebook. So moving on to content for this slide. The IB History course is a 2-year world history course that is completed in both the 11th and 12th grades here at Y-High. The 4 main components of the IB History course are Paper 1, Paper 2, Paper 3, and the Historical Investigation. Now, Paper 1 are prescribed subjects which require us to spend 40 hours of instruction. Paper 2 are 12 world history subjects, which we actually have to choose 2, and that requires 90 minutes of 90 hours of instruction. And then if you take the course at the HL level, and only at the HL level, then you'll be required to complete Paper 3, where you will receive an additional 90 hours of instruction on a historical topic at a deeper level. And then all students, regardless if you're taking the course at the HL or SL level, you must complete a historical investigation that requires us to spend 20 hours of time in class working on that. So those are your 4 major components that we will complete in this course. Now, looking a little bit deeper at Paper 1. Paper 1 is a prescribed subject topic required by the IB. There are 5 different prescribed topics, and a school is required to choose one. We chose to do rights and protests. In Paper 1 here at Y-High, we will be discussing in our IB History course over 11th and 12th grade, the Civil Rights Movement in the United States and the Apartheid Movement in South Africa. In paper 2, we will be talking about 2 of the 12 topics that are given to IB students. And the 2 topics are independence movements from 1800 to 2000. And we will actually be working on a case study together. And then after we complete that case study, you will be allowed to investigate an independence movement of your choice. You will be given a set list to choose from, and you can choose which one you'd wish to investigate on your own. And then our second paper 2 topic is authoritarian states, where we will also work together on a case study of an authoritarian leader. And then again, you will be given the opportunity to choose another authoritarian leader from a list that you're provided, where you will actually research that leader of your choice to be able to compare to the one we did as a case study. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a deeper look at what each of the 2 years will look like specifically. So this specific slide will show us what 11th grade will look like in terms of the IB content that you will be learning in each of the 2 semesters. This is not the actual syllabus, but it will tell you exactly what the content that you will be learning in each semester will be. So in first semester, the 2 topics that we'll be working on in terms of IB content will be first a paper 2 topic, which we'll be learning about authoritarian states. And what we'll be doing is we're going to be learning about Adolf Hitler as a case study. So what that means is that through the self-paced model in my classroom and the online lessons that we're doing here, you will actually, all of you together, will be learning about Adolf Hitler as a case study as an authoritarian leader. So we'll be looking at his rise to power, his consolidation of power, and then his policies that he implemented as an authoritarian leader. Once we have completed our case study, you will actually be given a choice that you get to choose on your own. You can choose between Nasser of Egypt, or Castro from Cuba, or Mao from China. You get to choose which one of those authoritarian leaders you wish to investigate on your own, and you will be given time in class to actually do a compare and contrast between Adolf Hitler and the authoritarian leader of your choice. And then you will round out your first semester with, yes, your historical investigation, and that is correct that you do see that. Your rough draft is due at the end of the first semester in 11th grade. Now, just so that you will know and be aware, and being upfront and honest with you, that the rough draft, when we say it is due, because if you do not have the rough draft at the end of the first semester, then your grade for first semester is actually held until you actually give the paper to us. So make sure that you work within the confines of your syllabus for first semester. In second semester of 11th grade, you will actually complete the paper 2s that we have for the course, and that is the independence movements. That's the second one. And again, we will be doing a case study on Zimbabwe. So through our online system, we'll actually be learning together as a class about Zimbabwe's independence movement. And then at the conclusion of that, you will be given the choice to choose between Ireland's independence movement, India and Pakistan's, Vietnam's, or Cuba's independence movement. So you can actually choose which one of those you want to do on your own. And then you will also complete the 11th grade year by starting your first paper 1 concept, which we will conclude our school year by learning about apartheid from 1948 to 1964 in South Africa. And while we're doing that, and you will be given time in class and certain days like that, we promise that to you, your final draft of your historical investigation is due at the end of the semester. So you'll be given a time and it is actually graded for the second semester. So we just hold the grade in first semester. So it doesn't really negatively impact the grade, but in the second semester, it is actually a grade in the grade book, so we have to have it. That's why, promotion to 12th grade is determined based on you turning in the completed historical investigation at the end of 11th grade. So once you get into the 12th grade, this is where you will have to finally make a decision on whether you want to take this course at the SL or standard level or HL, the higher level. And you will actually be doing that in the first semester of your senior year. And during that particular process is when you're going to all of you are going to be working on your second case study of your paper ones, which is Civil Rights in the United States from 1954 to 1965. So both the SL and the HL students together will be working on the same topics while you're meeting with Mr. Giddings to determine if you're going to take the course at the standard level or the higher level. So it is during that time period that you'll make the final decision. If you choose to take the course at the SL level, then once you complete the Civil Rights unit, you will actually work on 2 additional Paper 2 topics, one in Semester 1 and one in Semester 2. Okay? And the first one that you'll work on in the first semester is Causes and Effects of the 20th Century Wars. You can pause the video at this point to read more about what that details right underneath there. And in the second semester, you will do another paper 2, and that title for that unit is The Cold War, Superpower Tensions and Rivalries in the 20th Century. And again, you can pause the video and read more in detail right there. Now, just so that you'll know, both of these paper 2 topics are 45 hours of instruction. So what this means is that during both of these, over these 2 semesters, you will receive 90 hours of instruction or over 2 paper 2 topics. So if you take the course at the standard level, at the SL level, when you take the IB exam, you will actually be able to choose which paper 2s that you want to write on. So all of the students will take the same paper 1 exam. If you are taking the course at the SL level, when you take the paper 2 exam, you can either write your paper on independence movements, authoritarian leaders, causes and effects of 20th century wars, or the Cold War, superpower tensions and rivalries. But if you take it at the HL level, you do not have a choice. You're actually required to do independence movements and authoritarian leaders. HL students actually get choice in other areas, and we will talk about that now. Now, for those of you who are wanting to take the course at the HL level, which right now statistically IB history is the largest number of HL exams given at Y-High, so many of you will probably be in this category. So pay close attention to this if that is you. If you take IB history at the HL level, this is what your 12th grade course sequence would look like. You all start out the same as the SL students, all taking Civil Rights 1954 to 65, because you'll be doing the same thing. You'll meet with Mr. Giddings and you'll tell them, I want to take the course at the HL level. And so while your SL friends are working on their 2 paper 2 topics and spending 45 hours each on those, you will actually be able to choose, do you want to study further of history of Africa and the Middle East, history of the Americas, history of Asia and Oceania, or history of Europe? You will actually be allowed to choose which one of those you would like to study more. So yes, that might sound confusing because yes, your best friend might be working on history of Americas, learning about Mexican Revolution, while you are over here in history of Europe and you're learning about the French Revolution, if that was something that was your choice. So yes, it is going to look weird, but you get to choose which one of those topics you want to study further. Now, you will repeat that twice in second semester. And the reason being is because you have to have 90 hours of HL content. So there's 30 hours here, 30 hours here, and 30 hours here. So while you're working on your 3 HL topics at 30 hours apiece, your SL friends are working on their 2 SL topics at 45 hours apiece. So the time for both areas or both groups are the exact same. So no one group is working more than the other group. So this actually does conclude our lesson, and just drawing your attention back up here, remember your lesson number and unit numbers up here, and if you notice here, we have returned back to non-italicized, and we are now back to what is IB history, which was our lesson title. And you'll also notice there's a stop sign down here. This always tells you that you have reached the end of this lesson. Now, our lesson has concluded. So we have now taken our lesson objectives and turned them into questions. Can you explain the four main components of the IB history course? Can you explain paper 1 in the rights and protests prescribed subject? Can you explain the first and second year of the IB history course here at Y High? And can you explain the difference between the SL and the HL options that are offered here at Y High? At this point in time, you want to complete your notes and you want to make sure that you complete any activity that is assigned with lesson 0.0 and then move forward onto lesson 0.1. Thank you so much and have a great day.